I'm Ripley.
And I'm John.
And this is Comicsplaining.
The one where the shoe's on the other foot? This feels weird.
Yeah, we're all out of order. I am not ready for going first. As you can tell, it's just the two of us this time around, and the shoe's on the other foot because this time it's my turn to co-host. Last time around, I wasn't feeling so hot, so hey, here we are now. So, John, you want to tell me what happened last time with the X-Men? It's been a hot second, so...
I have no earthly idea what the Juggernaut is doing on this cover.
Well, that doesn't answer my question at all. Let's move to the original cover, and I guess we'll focus on that while we're talking about it.
No, that doesn't help. Seeing the Juggernaut here doesn't really... Wait. Didn't they go to Scotland?
Ireland. But you're missing an entire comic.
Crap. Was this... Did we do Phoenix?
We finished off the Phoenix saga.
Okay, so we did Phoenix.
We did.
Did do Phoenix. I should remember that. It's literally... Okay, no, to be fair, the one people always remember isn't Phoenix, it's Dark Phoenix.
Yeah.
So...
But we did watch this on the X-Men cartoon not that long ago, so you have no excuse.
Hey! Didn't we also watch Dark Phoenix?
I don't think so yet. I think we stopped before that.
Okay, the problem...
No, wait. Maybe we did... God, who fucking cares?
The problem is that people get Phoenix and Dark Phoenix confused, and I'm doing it too, so...
And now you've got me confused, so God knows what's going on right now. So you still haven't cleared up what happened last time, so let's start off. There's a battle royale going on between the X-Men, and they're fighting the X-Men.
Wait. So, are the robot X-Men?
Robot X-Men.
That wasn't part of the cartoon.
No, the robot X-Men was just an original thing they decided to skim over. Can't imagine why.
What? I mean, considering the cartoon, they could have done it.
I can't imagine why we wouldn't do Robot X-Men. Why would we not do that?
That's actually... I mean, you put a jokey sound to it, but that's a good question. Why not do Robot X-Men?
Because I think we all decided last time around the Robot X-Men were kind of stupid.
Yes, but for a 90s cartoon, they make perfect sense.
You know, that's not a terrible point. But okay, so they were fighting the Robot X-Men.
And the Robot X-Men lost.
The Robot X-Men did indeed lose.
And the guy who brought back the Sentinels, again... Well, he didn't bring them back again. He brought back brought back Sentinels. Trask's son?
Yeah.
Who
the
brought
one,
back...
Larry
Trask, who brought back the Sentinels with bugs.
Yeah, he didn't patch the software.
Yeah, you know the take over the world bug.
Yeah, you'd think that would probably be an important one to work out, considering how that was going to go. Not a terrible point.
You'd think, but no, Larry didn't worry about that. And then, oh god, the guy.
We're not worried about Larry. We're worried about Dr. Lang.
Dr. Lang.
Our space Nazi friend.
Yeah, who's actually called a Nazi.
Indeed.
He brought back Larry's Sentinels, the inferior remakes, and run out of robotic X-Men as well. Didn't they space him?
No, they didn't space him. We're not entirely clear. Actually, this came up over on our Discord where this kind of shit comes up. We're not entirely clear what happened to Larry. Not Larry, got it. No, I'm serious. We're not entirely clear what happened to Dr. Lang because Jean was like, we're gonna bring you back to Earth and you're gonna face justice, and then we never saw him again.
So somewhere between...
maybe they threw him in the baggage hold. I don't fucking...
somewhere...
The baggage hold that's in a space shuttle.
Wait, so somewhere between them bailing... doing a backing out of the space station and landing, he just vanished.
Well, he wasn't even on the space shuttle. He just disappeared after...
He didn't even make it to them backing out of the
station.
station.
Yeah, we never saw him, and then he just disappeared. So, I don't know if he exploded or got irradiated or what the fuck happened.
They forgot about him. They completely forgot about him.
Villain of the piece. We completely forgot about him.
Oh my god, they forgot about him. The writers, the artists, they all forgot about him.
Alright, well, they forgot about him. They left him behind or threw him in a fucking closet or whatever the hell they did.
Do you know if he comes back ever?
I seem to recall that he does, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Like, don't quote me on that.
I mean, people come back from worse.
Because I may be mistaking him with another big dude that we run into later, who's also a dude that's just like a bigot.
I mean, there's kind of a lot of these in X-Men.
They're a decent number, but not entirely those.
No, they're not all bigots.
They're not all bigots. Don't be silly. There are good people on both sides.
Yes. Also, Cyclops was right.
Yeah. Anyway, so what happened? They left the space shuttle, as you said. They backed on out of there. Beep, 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 beep.
A thing a space shuttle could probably do, but it would probably have destroyed its nose, but
that's fine. We got telekinesis.
Okay.
She probably just wrapped it in a blankie.
Sure. Then Jean has already decided the radiation. They were worried about the radiation. It was coming.
Because that sunstorm.
Yeah, they had a ticking clock, and clock ran out of time.
Yep.
So Scott says he's going to pilot the thing. No, says the man in DC. Actually, it's Jean. Jean says no.
Yes, Jean's like, nah, I got this. And so she telepathically knocks her boyfriend out.
And everyone else is stuffed in like a closet or something.
Yeah, the life closet or whatever.
Which she is protecting with her mind powers.
No, I think it's just built to keep out the radiation. She's just trying to encompass the whole shuttle.
And also autopilot's broken.
Yep, autopilot's broken. That's why we need a pilot.
Yeah. So Jean just flies it through the storm.
Yep.
And everything's fine. They land and everyone's happy.
Not quite.
No.
No, you diverged a little from the story there.
What? No, I didn't.
You wrote yourself a happy ending.
Yes, I wrote Dark Phoenix out of the story.
You did. You entirely... Wow.
And how many characters did I just write out?
You wrote out so many characters, so we can't do this. We
and
have
relationships.
To beep, 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 on back to where they instead crash into Jamaica Bay.
And I also wiped out some relationships in the process.
Indeed you have.
Wipe
the blood off your hands and continue with the actual story.
Blood? What blood? Oh, okay. So, I erased Scott's relationship with, Emma.
Don't speak it. Anyway, continue. The story. We have to get to the actual episode of the story.
And Jean's dead.
Jean's dead.
The end.
No, you're diverging from the story again. Because everybody pops on out of the space shuttle like corks.
But if I remember right, Jean's dead.
No, Jean's not dead. She rises up out of the water and she's like, I'm the Phoenix.
I could have...
I
guess I just assumed she died in the interim.
Then they continue on their way to the hospital.
And somehow she's got magical clothes.
She's got magical clothes, and she changes.
Oh yeah, and they take, what's-his-face to the hospital because he's, like, the worst off. The guy who can't walk?
Charles?
Oh god, I can't remember what happened here.
What the fuck are you talking about?
I don't know!
They go to the hospital, and they take Jean there, and then when we start off, Logan is... No, not Logan, he's not Logan. Wolverine...
Yeah,
we don't know his name. We don't know his name. He's Wolverine, Man of Mystery. Wolverine shows up with flowers, and then he's surprised to see that, all of the other X-Men are here. I guess I'm not the only one to have thought about hanging out at the hospital where my wounded friend is.
Oh, wow. Wolvie, my guy. They also care about these people.
Yep. And then the doctor comes out, and he's like, hey, she's gonna be alright if she rests. So whatever you guys are up to, no more of that.
Don't do what you just did. Don't do that.
So Xavier sends the X-Men on
vacation! And that's how they get to Ireland.
Indeed.
Well, I mean, there's they're invited by Banshee.
Yes, because he got a letter from his lawyer who sent it where we saw a while ago.
Yes, we actually... Why did his lawyer look like he was from the 19th century?
Maybe that's just his look. He's like a hipster lawyer.
Yeah, I don't...
And that's back in fashion right now.
I don't think
doing it.
I don't think Ireland is living like it's the 19th century. Just a thought.
No, it's just for the hipsters. It's for the hipster crowd.
The 19th century look is in. I see.
Right, it's in, but it's not in, because once it becomes in, they have to stop doing it.
Yes, so if anybody acknowledges that it's in, it's dead.
Alright, so they show up at Banshee's surprise castle.
And his cousin?
Correct.
Has actually decided that no, Banshee is not welcome here, and that he will be disposing of Banshee the moment he can.
Yes.
But he doesn't... There's a reason he can't do it right away? I don't know. Is it just because... Is there a legal document he needs on the sign?
No, I think he just had to draw him into the trap.
Ah, so
because he wanted to get him
because
back.
he had a special assistant.
Exactly, because he came along with
the Juggernaut,
who wants to crack some X-Men skulls to get back at his stepbrother.
Yeah. Although last time we saw the Juggernaut, he was zapping in and out of holes.
Yeah, and then he was back again. And then who knows what happened there.
The life of the Juggernaut must be very odd.
I mean, he's like a warlock, right?
I mean, technically, yes. Technically, he functions like a warlock. He has a magical patron who gives him power.
He's got his demon sugar daddy.
Yes, and considering the relationship between the demon sugar daddy and other people, this cover is slightly ironic.
Anyway.
Spoilers.
Yeah, don't even touch that. Boo.
I'm spoiling things that happened in 40 years.
We are also missing the last thing we did.
Correction, 50 years. Spoilers for 50-year newer events.
We are skipping an entire story here if we're calling that the end.
God. Oh, no, this wasn't the date. Was this the ghost child?
This was the ghost child.
The ghost child!
There was a ghost child.
Oh God, who was it who hung out with the ghost child?
Kurt was worried about Jean while they were waiting for her to wake up.
No wonder I'm confused. He was wearing a disguise.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like...
making himself look like Errol Flynn, he likes to do.
Which is already not very timely, because it's the 70s.
Well, no, but he's going for that swashbuckler kind of vibe.
I know, but that's kind of like 20 years out of date by this point.
Oh, boo-hoo, who cares? So what happens with the ghost child?
Well, can't stay here, but he doesn't have to go home, because visiting hours are over. But Kurt doesn't want to go home.
Well, that's not exactly what happened. He saw a kid hanging out in the courtyard.
Yeah. But no one is supposed to be sticking around.
No one's supposed to be in the courtyard.
Kurt can do what he wants, because he's Kurt.
Yeah, he'll just bamf back into the hospital.
Yeah.
He's got to keep him out.
Yeah, Jay just has to keep out of sight. But the kid doesn't have that ability.
Right.
And a cop finds him. Or a security guard. Yeah, security cop.
Cop.
Did we ever actually know if it was a security guard or a cop?
I think it was a security guard. I think his shirt said security, but I might be wrong.
Well... either way, the kid was not welcome in this environment and told to go away, but he didn't have anywhere to go.
He couldn't leave the hospital? Yeah, so Kurt runs into this child and he's like, well, I can't just fucking leave you here in the middle of the night on the streets of New York. So they go to a diner and then Kurt insists on taking the kid home, at which point... they run through Central Park, and Kurt then teaches him how to juggle and takes him home. But when he returns to the hospital later on...
the kid is dead!
The kid is dead because the kid was a ghost.
Because
maybe.
He had cancer, and he was in the hospital the whole time.
Correct. So, we've got that done. So, let's see. We're going to be starting off with X-Men 102 from September of 1976. I want to note how wild it is that into already well-known plots, this comic is still only coming out every other month.
Wow.
Yeah, they're still
every other monthing it.
They're still every other month.
I assume that changes at some point.
Yes, that does change. At one point, it's even like twice a month. So this one's written by Chris Claremont, penciled by Dave Cockrum, inks by Sam Granger, colors by Bonnie Wilford, and letters by John Costanza. As usual, we're using the classic X-Men version of this story, so this is featuring some pages with pencils by John Romita Sr. and letters by Gaspar Saladino. I was going to make a whole parody bit to the tune of Gaston, but it turns out that despite Gaspar Saladino being the kind of name I think I'd remember, we actually have encountered him before. But we didn't know that because of that thing where people used a lot of pen names prior to the late 60s. So we've run into him before under the name of L.P. Gregory. So let's just take a brief moment to look back at the original cover, and then we can get this show back on the road. When last we left, the Juggernaut was standing smugly at Black Tom Cassidy's side, but now he's in motion.
And he's already taking people down.
Yep, he's shaking off the attacks of the X-Men while Storm dissolves into hysterics in the foreground, her claustrophobia triggered by the conditions in the dungeon of Cassidy.
So
Cave.
she's down. Apparently he's already taken out Wolverine.
Jugsy Malone challenges the lot of them to find even one of them who can stop the Juggernaut.
I mean, he is like that.
Banshee's not dancing with the rest, though. Instead, he's focused on his cousin. He closes in on Tom, who's like, Neener, your powers don't work on me because we're kin, which apparently we remember.
Wait, that's a thing again?
Yeah, we remember that again.
Because we clearly know. We established that wasn't a thing, and then...
In the other corner...
Damn it!
In the other corner, Fighting Irish is fine with that, because while he might be immune to Sean's sonic scream, he's not immune to getting his ass beat.
True, he is not immune to getting punched.
Be careful, Sean, he has a stick.
I mean, you know, neither of them are immune to being beaten into the ground.
Aurora is in the grasps of what seems to be a full-on flashback, even as her teammates continue to fight the Juggernaut.
Crap.
At her cries, though, Piotr turns in Aurora's direction, moving to come to her aid.
Oh, this is the sort of thing you were talking about.
This is exactly what I was talking about. Yeah, last night we were talking about whatever happened to Piotr and Aurora being like a ship thing that was going on, because that's somewhere disappeared.
Yeah, his first move was to go help her.
Yep.
I mean, there's Kurt getting punched by the Juggernaut, and he's like, Storm.
Wolverine grabs him by the arm, aggravated with his ditching out on them, but Colossus won't be stopped.
Hoo-hoo.
He will be redirected, though, as Wolvie caber tosses him into the Juggernaut.
Oh, God! Hey, wait. How indestructible is, the Juggernaut's meat body?
Well, he has, that force field thing.
So
his meat body's pretty good.
Wolverine couldn't, go for the eyes?
Pete's angrier about Wolvie calling him Rusky than he is about being thrown.
And he would rather take care of Storm here.
Yep, he's not exactly chuffed about being thrown either, and he makes it clear that he doesn't consider Wolverine a friend. Then the testosterone in the room is immediately ramped through the roof.
I want you to know that, given everything I know about him, that actually feels hurtful. For him, that is hurtful. That is actually hurtful.
Well, they start thumping chests, leaving poor Nightcrawler the only one fighting Marco. Kane then reminds them who they're supposed to be fighting by cold-cocking Colossus. Wolverine's immediately back on track, pissed off. No one's allowed to beat my buddy's ass but me, eh?
Yeah, that's my job.
He springs at the Juggernaut, ready to give him the can opener treatment. It doesn't really work, though. I guess magic is stronger than adamantium.
Apparently.
The more you know. A probably pretty winded Kurt turns his attention on Aurora, trying to shake some sense back into her. But she is still in hysterics. And eventually the limited time he has before Kane sets his sights back on Wagner runs out.
Oh god, that punch he dodges.
Yeah, right? Nightcrawler quickly dives away to momentary safety before scaling the wall out of Marco's reach. The Juggernaut then turns to Storm, still in the grasps of her episode.
Oh no.
He grabs her by the hair, threatening to kill her. I'm not sure if that's his actual plan or if he's doing it to bait Kurt, but it does work to draw him back into the fight.
I'm not sure he really has a plan so much as it's to hurt everyone he sees.
Yeah, and so with that, someone actually fighting back now, he has little time for Aurora, and he casts her aside. Good for her as she tries to pull herself back together.
Oh, we have a Star Trek reference. My pleasure, Spock ears.
Oh yeah, we do. I forgot about that. Aurora weeps to herself, drawn entirely back into memory. Memory, further back than people are supposed to remember, I think.
Yeah?
Remembering as far back as 6 months old when her parents Ndare and David Monroe departed Harlem, following David's work as a photojournalist to Cairo.
Wait, so her parents were New Yorkers?
At least her dad is. I think her mom is African. I think she's Kenyan.
I wasn't expecting that.
Unfortunately, tensions in that area of the world tend to run high, and have, at least for this moment, boiled over as Israeli fighter planes dodge anti-aircraft fire above the streets of Cairo.
Oh, for a moment, when you said that area of the world, I thought you still meant Harlem.
No!
What are Israeli fighters doing over Harlem? What has happened here? What? What?
You don't remember that from the history books?
No, I don't remember the time Israeli fighters were flying over...
Dodging anti-aircraft fire
Yeah.
over Harlem.
Yes, when we shot at Israeli fighter aircraft, which I don't recognize these, at all.
Well, we've got a little more on the next page, so you can take another crack at it then. The young parents are alarmed at the situation, and they quickly bundle Aurora up and head down for the cellar to wait out the rest of the attack. But despite moving as quickly as they can, it's not fast enough to save the young family as overhead, anti-aircraft fire does its job, hitting one of the...
I have no earthly idea. I don't reckon... The rear flaps, the tail is structured wrong for an aircraft of that era.
So here's what I think. I think it's a Douglas A4 Skyhawk. Pull it up, take a crack at it.
Okay.
Let me tell you. I looked around at what kind of fighter planes were in the Israeli Air Force at the time, and there are a pretty broad swath that could have been, but this seems the most likely to me out of the options.
I mean, the problem with the A4 is it looks like it has a nearly delta wing, and not just a swept-back.
Oh, that's true, but none of the other things were jumping out at me.
Because if you look at this, we're not just talking about,
You
spokes.
are right, that does...
Yeah, especially, these two. You can see they're just, the older style...
Alright, so we got nothing.
Yeah,
My bet is on...
second production. Yeah,
I'm still gonna say it's the A4 because I have nothing better to say.
You found, I think, the only aircraft that has a tail that even looks close to what we're seeing here.
Yeah. Well, the crew's dead, and the plane plummets earthward.
And to be fair, it's better than what they used to do.
Oh, just draw something vaguely plane-shaped?
Yes!
Yeah. Well, the plane plummets into what was once the family home. When the smoke clears, the young family has been decimated, leaving only Aurora alive, trapped in the rubble.
How old is she, anyway?
5-ish?
No, I mean,
now. I think her early 20s, so she's young, but not
just because
a teen.
I have a date for, Israeli Air Force Skyhawks, and that...
Going by this date, it should have been 1956-ish?
Yeah, and they didn't start using them till the 60s, but it's comic logic. And they only kind of look like Skyhawks, and...
Who fucking knows? It's a plane.
I know, but
It's
after
a plane.
they put so much effort making F-15s, so much effort to make brand new, and the space shuttle, that design had only been revealed, a couple of years earlier. After so much effort,
yeah, that's why I went and I looked into it.
And of course, because after they put that much effort into that, then they fart out these mangled Skyhawks.
Let's move along. So, the young girl lay trapped for ages, even after her mother's body was recovered. Eventually, though, it was Aurora who somehow freed herself. Without parents, she was left to eke out a life scrounged from the alleyways, until eventually she briefly stumbles into the plot of a Middle Eastern Oliver Twist, living in a gang of child thieves working for Ahmed El-Gibar.
What?
El-Gibar,
what? Does this ever get brought back up in the future? Is this...
It does, actually.
Okay, so this is a thing.
And after that brief distraction, she then wandered south until finally finding herself at home in Kenya, as we recall. Just Kenya. Somewhere.
I mean, is this home for her?
I guess it's her new home.
It is now.
Around this same time was when Aurora's mutation began to manifest, and so she settled into her arrangement, worshipped as a goddess by the locals in return for blessing their crops with much-needed water.
I guess it sounds a little egotistical, but...
And that's where she was when she met Charles Xavier. Charles, meanwhile, all of a sudden feels like someone's walking on his grave.
I wonder why.
It shakes him to alertness, and he suddenly opens his mind, absorbing Aurora's breakdown and the situation in County Mayo all around.
Oh yeah, Scott was just gonna stay here until Jean got better.
Yep, and immediately he wheels into Jean's room, interrupting Misty's visit. When Jean tries to at least introduce her roommate, Charles immediately brushes her off, brusquely calling Scott out into the hallway.
Wow.
As Jean is weirding out Misty, Xavier fills Scott in on the situation in Ireland, ordering him to join his teammates there. But this time Scott isn't biting. This is his line in the sand.
Oh boy.
Jean. And he's not going to leave until she's out of the woods.
Also, mind you, Ireland.
Yeah.
What's he gonna do?
Yep. Charles is outraged at Scott's pushback, even as he explains his reasoning, his love for Jean, and the fact that the X-Men are in a fight at this moment across an entire ocean. How the hell does Charles think he's even going to get there in time to help? It's time to let the team fend for themselves. Furious, Charles raises his hand as if to backhand Scott, even as Summers shrinks back.
Oh, God, that's actually disturbing.
Yeah.
Hey, Professor?
Do you see why this is in my readily citable Charles Xavier is a piece of shit folder?
I mean, this whole interaction. Go to Ireland immediately to protect the rest of the X-Men from the Juggernaut.
It's not inconsistent, though.
Yeah, but...
It is fucked up.
There's nothing he can do that by the time he gets there, it'll be over whatever happens. And...
Then it's a guilt thing, which is even worse.
And then he goes to hit him.
Yeah. There's a lot to...
Wow.
There's a lot. Just keep that moment in your mind forever whenever you think about this interaction, or whenever you think about their relationship. There's always this undercurrent. The moment then immediately shifts gears as Charles has another one of his attacks, seeing the face of the alien pilot once more.
You ungrateful, unspeakable cur. I took you and I gave... And then he gets interrupted by something completely different.
His breakdown, yes. For a moment, the world slides away, filled only with the pilot and a vast starscape. He demands answers of the pilot, in the real world moving so sharply as to tip his chair over. Moira McTaggart quickly rushes to Charles's side, cradling him in her arms as she explains to Scott more about Charles's attacks, though she's unsure if he's just going mad or if he's interfacing with another consciousness.
Well, Scott could have used this information sooner.
Right, I kind of feel like being the leader of the X-Men, Chuck probably should have told him that.
Yeah, so now we can add not telling Scott something very important that's happening to him to guilting and nearly hitting.
So hold on to this tide.
Wow.
I mean, this shit was going on even back when Stan was writing it, just not to that degree.
It wasn't... at the time when Stan was writing it, it wasn't intentional. Right. It wasn't with this intent to...
Yeah, no, this is something that entirely stays consistent and is worth tracking as it happens.
Like, they realized, oh god, their relationship is toxic, and moved forward with that.
Back in Ireland, the situation hasn't really changed much. Banshee is still beating his cousin's ass. The Juggernaut is still failing at a game of whack-a-mole with Nightcrawler.
As one tends to.
Aurora is still crying. Wolverine is here.
Because he's, when he can't, he might be the best at what he does, but right now what he does is tickle Juggernaut. So, what's he gonna do?
Well, I don't know, but he's not gonna settle for just being there. He wants to beat some ass, so he gets back into it with Jugsy, but quickly regrets it as the Juggernaut sends his brain smacking around in its metal cage with a fierce backhand.
Bink, bonk, boonk, bink, bink. I want you to know, I am thinking about how Scott killed Professor X, and it's feeling so much more deserved after decades.
Oh, just you wait! I've got a long file of Charles Xavier moments stuffed away in that folder.
After decades of God knows what. If this was the tone of their relationship,
I think this is one of the more overtly what the fuck moments,
but it's a core part of their relationship.
It's not a standalone incident. Let's put it that way.
It's just one of the few times the professor lets.
I could go for days on this. If we record, I could record a fucking bonus-ode on all of my thoughts on Scott Summers and Charles Xavier, but we gotta move along, so that would have to be a whole different thing. He smacks Wolverine around, he's just hanging limply in his grasp, and Kurt's outraged, and he swings down from a chandelier, grabbing one of the torches from it and striking Kane in the face.
Ooh, he grabbed it with his tail.
Marco stumbles backward, blinded, but he doesn't stand unavenged. Even as he tussles on the floor with his cousin, Tom channels a blast through his shillelagh, catching Kurt in the back. He falls and doesn't get back up again, literally disappearing into the shadows, because that's something he can do.
Oh, no.
See, he just, bumps in.
I can see that. That's bad.
It's cool.
But he doesn't move again. That's,
Yeah, that's not great. Suddenly some little people appear out of a hole in the wall and quickly pull the unconscious Kurt into the hole.
What the fuck?
Meanwhile, the cousins continue to fight. But Tom isn't satisfied with this fight at all. Sean isn't reacting how he wants him to.
What does he want out of Sean?
After a stretch in prison at one-time Interpol agent Sean's hands...
that's not how
Yeah, that's a new backstory drop.
Also, that's not how Interpol works. Why does everyone in the 70s think Interpol... This is... Lupin III is a contemporary of this, and they are the villainous heroes of the show, and the manga it's based on are stalked by Interpol agent Zenigata, who has his own Interpol police force. That's not a thing! None of that is a thing!
Wow, I can't believe that's the same canon. Because this is how Interpol works here.
I think this is what people think Interpol was at the time. That it was some actual police force. Oh, there were agents, but they worked with local police forces.
It's just a fucking collection of police.
Yeah, they just work with the local police forces and help
different countries. Yeah,
and help with extradition and local imprisonment. And
well, it doesn't matter because Sean put him away, and he had plenty of time to fantasize about his revenge.
God.
But Sean is being a turd. He's not asking any questions, and Tom is practically begging him to ask questions. He starts indeed taunting him with them. Who freed me and the Juggernaut? Who assisted us in this plan? Who paid me to kill the X-Men?
I don't know! Why are you asking me?
And since Banshee sucks, Tom finally just hits Sean with his stick until he's finally down.
Does he think Banshee knows this stuff?
No, he wants him to ask. And he's not cooperating.
And this is how he gets him to ask, by beating him half to death.
Well, he wouldn't cooperate, so now he had to beat him half to death.
It doesn't sound like he ever went to the trouble of asking his cousin to ask these questions.
Well, Colossus, the last man standing, fights on valiantly. Neither he nor the Juggernaut will stop, to the degree that the castle around them comes off the worse for the wear.
I just want to note that we saw another Russian swear word in Cyrillic.
Did we?
Uh-huh. I don't know what that says, but that's Cyrillic.
I know it's Cyrillic. I didn't know it was a curse word.
Well, it's gotta be. Come on. Come on, that's... You know...
Let's see. Because to get to fucking Xavier...
Come on! What else could it be? It's gotta be a swear word. Oh, God.
That could be very well a way to get around the censors. Okay, can't fucking accepted. Headcanon accepted.
Anyone who knows what it is, listeners, if you know what
that thing
Colossus
is, join
said,
our book club and tell us what the fuck
please
he
tell
said.
us what Colossus said.
Because I don't know how to type in Cyrillic, so
and
I can't
Google
fucking look it up.
Translate is not so great on handwritten text in comics.
The castle's not coming off too well for this. Ancient stones broken apart all over the part as they fight until one flying somersault performed with a little bit too much gusto knocks the wall on top of Piotr.
Oh, God, they're both indestructible, aren't they? Or damn near.
Well, not too much because he's down. Aurora then fights through her fear, blasting out once with lightning, but Marco deflects it back onto her, and then there were none. At which point, Kane explains that his plan was pretty much to torture the X-Men until Charles wheels right into their trap.
Which he wasn't going to do because he was going to send Scott out to do this.
God.
Oh, no.
Well, he doesn't know that, I'm sure.
No, I know he doesn't know that, but that's what his plan was to... Oh.
You ready for a spooky addition to this Halloween episode?
Wait, hold on. Is Wolverine about to meet a ghost?
Ooh, maybe.
So now, there's not really any good place to put this, is there?
No, I could have skipped after this, but I liked it here. Fuck it. We move along to the B story to Classic X-Men 10, written by Chris Claremont, National Security Information by John Bolton, colored by Glynis Wein, and lettered by Tom Orzechowski.
It's called Tag, sucker.
Yeah, it's not exactly spooky, but it's a little closer than anything else we've got here, huh?
Oh man, this looks like he is downtown in the battle days. This is before Giuliani quote unquote cleaned up the city.
Yeah, actually he is in Times Square.
Yeah, that's what I just looking at it. That made me think of Times. That's what Times Square looked like before.
Yeah.
Before Mayor Giuliani Disneyfied it. I mean, that's what he did. People usually call it cleaning up Times Square, but he made it Disney friendly. And that's not the same as clean. It's a different kind of trash.
It's sanitized.
Yeah, sanitized with bleach.
Well, he's been apparently doing this. He's been walking the streets of New York, trying to get a feel for the place, but it's not for him. It's too loud, there's too many people. Give him the countryside any day.
The flashy trash heap of the Big Apple. Wow.
He's not a fan.
No, I'm sorry, flashy trash heart of the Big Apple. But the sentiment is maintained.
Some apple, some heart.
Video XXX.
Maybe he's gotten a little too comfortable here, though, as Wolvie lifts a match to his cigarette.
He's Wolverine! Of course he's comfortable!
Well, he lifts a match to his cigarette, and then it's suddenly stolen from his hands.
Neat trick.
But when he turns, there's no one there. His eyes scan the crowded sidewalks of Times Square, but nothing jumps out at him.
Why is he wearing, like, an Australian hat?
He wears that a lot, actually.
Really? Because that makes me think Australian.
No, and then again, from right behind him, a voice whispers, "Tag, sucker, you're it."
Ooh.
But yet again, Wolverine sees nothing when he turns, baffled as to why his senses seem to be failing him.
What the blazes is going on?
It's impossible to know who it is in a crowd this bustling, and so Wolverine taps into his deer instincts and runs into traffic.
Well, hey, the good news is, if the cars hit him, it's gonna be hurting the cars.
Fair enough.
He'll be fine!
But think of the emotional toll.
I mean, he might end up killing whoever's in the car, because he probably weighs, like, half a ton.
On his bare shirt. He makes a real scene, springing from a taxi onto a fire escape, hoping to draw out his stalker.
Well, yeah, if he's high on top of a building, it's a little hard to be snuck up on.
He then walks into a bar and settles himself into the gunslinger position, in the corner, facing the door, back to the wall.
A position, if I understand right, he's probably very familiar with, even if he doesn't remember it. And it hasn't happened yet.
Well, he downs a shot of whiskey as he surveils the room. We get a moment to experience what it's like to be Wolvie, the rush of sensations as he Terminator scans his way through each person in the room.
This is a horrible way to live.
Suddenly, he spots a giant grin through the window and bolts for the door, looking for its owner. But yet again, when he exits, there's nothing to see.
Oh no.
The bartender's fast behind, kicking him out of the bar. The pair then hear a scream from a nearby alley. They rush to help, but when they get there, the woman is already dead.
Oh boy.
All Wolverine's acute senses can pick up is laughter on the wind. Wolverine steps away, following his instincts down into the subway tunnels, where he grabs onto a train.
Woohoo!
This is his way of avoiding MTA enforcement.
Yeah, sometimes you can't just vault the turnstile. You
I
gotta...
don't know. I think he should give it a crack. Just turnstile hop like everyone else, you freak.
No. He has to go down through a grate, down a ladder, and then hop onto the train the old-fashioned way.
Eventually, he reemerges onto the streets, still feeling the uneasy sensation of being hunted. And he's fairly sure he knows the hunter. This feels too familiar. And so here at Battery Park, he suits up, ready to face his shadow.
So did he just have that on underneath, or was that, like, hidden in a pocket somewhere?
I think he must have had it on underneath. He again squints through the park, searching for his attacker from his dead-end position by the water.
Ooh.
No one comes to face him, and then it happens. Hands reach up from behind him, grabbing him by the throat and hurling Wolverine into the Hudson. But Sabretooth didn't kill him.
Oh!
Yep.
So it is!
It is! Not for lack of trying, though. He tore his throat out and left him to drown.
Oh, God!
The coming back from that stuff's what Wolverine's whole deal is, so it's not really something Sabretooth counted on for some fucking reason. But Wolverine's not loving it, and that's how we end our story.
So we're
Wolverine sopping wet on the Staten Island ferry.
So we're getting an early introduction to
We're running into him a little earlier than usual.
our good dear alternative to Wolverine, Sabretooth. The gruffer, angrier version.
Back with our A story, let's move along to X-Men 103 from November of 1976, written by Chris Claremont, penciled by Dave Cockrum, and inked by Sam Granger, colored by Janice Cohen, and lettered by John Costanza. As we're using the classic X-Men version, we're featuring some pages with colors from Evelyn Stein, who was sure a person.
Oh, no.
She existed.
Oh,
Women
no.
in comics. We open on the little men as they carry Nightcrawler away inside the walls of the castle.
I don't like this.
Chris then gives us a recap of last issue.
Last time on X-Men.
Before Kurt starts to come to. He's disoriented and at first swings out wildly, still trying to come to Wolvie's defense. He then gets his bearings, but still no answers as he looks at the tiny men with their pointed ears. It seems impossible, which are bold words from a man who regularly disappears into a puff of smoke.
It's improbable.
He's left in disbelief, imagining himself to be going mad. But Steward Eamon O'Donnell soon arrives, confirming that Kurt's eyes do not deceive him.
Are they leprechauns?
They are leprechauns.
Oh, God damn it, they're actual leprechauns. Oh, no. Oh, no.
He explains that when Tom returned to Cassidy Keep with his new friend in tow, he took all of the families hostage, demanding Eamon do as they order in return for their safety.
Wait. So, Black Tom Cassidy has hostage leprechauns working for him.
Yes, you're following the story correctly.
I just need to say that out loud because it feels a little like I'm having a stroke.
He then also spills the beans on the fact that this was a job done for hire by none other than Eric the Red.
Eric the Red, who isn't Eric the Red.
Right, Eric the Red II.
Whoever that is.
One of the leprechauns warns that Black Tom is about to start torturing the X-Men, and he's got this gadget called a neuronic tangler glove that he plans to do the trick. Kane doesn't really see the point of that. He can hurt them himself just fine.
Yeah, he's Kane Marco. He can hurt people real good. It's kind of his thing.
Tom points out that, yeah, that's kind of the problem. You're actually too strong, and they're not going to last if it's just you beating on them.
Okay, one of them might last a little... Two of them. Two of them will survive a while, but two of them will just,
not do so hot.
One punch to the face and they're dead.
Well, this tactic quickly bears fruit with the neuronic tangler glove.
Also, what's with the science room in the castle?
I guess maybe that's a feature, I don't know. Charles is seized with pain across the ocean as Tom puts his plan into action. Well, it's for his important Interpol agent business.
Yes.
Moira's quick to respond as if at first caught off guard, as Charles rages for her to stop tormenting him.
Wow.
It's just another vision, though. He just sees the pilot.
Charles, you need therapy.
It's also kind of a pointless appearance from Charles. But speaking of Charles, Kurt has an idea. In the laboratory, Charles Xavier wheels into the torture lab, telling off his brother for threatening his students because that has always worked out really well in the past. Charles is green, but all Kane sees is red, and he charges at Professor X.
Oh, no.
Xavier springs out of his chair, just in time, landing pretty spryly on his feet for a wheelchair-bound man.
Okay, you found a very good way to push the Juggernaut's buttons. Good job.
He stands there, hands on his hips, taunting his stepbrother for being too shit to handle the X-Men on his own.
You're laughing at me. Yes, of course, dear brother. There's so much of you to laugh at.
Kane then goes in for another blow, which the professor again evades. These two clowns aren't that quick on the uptake, though Cassidy has at least realized something is fishy here, as this man was just in a wheelchair.
He is wheelchair bound.
And he is pirouetting all over the room.
Xavier's not partially mobile. He is wheelchair bound.
It's really funny to me that Kane forgot this, though.
You're supposed to know this, you idiot.
He gets a kick in at Tom for his revenge on how mean he was to poor Nightcrawler.
It was very mean. Very mean.
Jugsy and Black Tom literally don't figure it out until they see him standing on the wall.
It's a little too late, guys.
Finally, they realize that their ersatz, Charles Xavier, was Nightcrawler all along.
But
the Juggernaut then hits him hard, the blow knocking a good chunk out of the outer walls of the castle.
I mean, you got the Juggernaut mad. That was kind of the goal.
Once Aurora can see the sky, she finally breaks free of the paralyzing fear. Restraints be damned summons up a storm fearsome enough to tear all of the X-Men free, but for Banshee, snared by the Juggernaut. Finally free, she does a couple joyful loop-de-loops in the air.
Yay!
Back in the lab, Tom and Kane bicker over the screw-up.
We're gonna skip over the fact while Aurora is flying wonderfully, Piotr and Wolverine, we're not calling him his name. Wolverine. But especially Piotr. Look at the landing! It's so bad! that's like a neck breaker.
He's fine. It's fine.
I know he is. He's lucky.
Back in the lab, Tom and Kane bicker over their screw-up. The Leprechauns watch from the shadows, creeping by the scene, and to Nightcrawler's side once more. He has spent a not insignificant portion of this arc unconscious. Outside, Colossus and Wolverine struggle to release Wolvie's restraints, a big pair of honkin' metal boots.
What are they gonna do? Dump him out in the ocean?
Colossus gives it all he's got, but even his prodigious strength isn't enough to do the job. When Aurora approaches, they're both skeptical that she can succeed where Petey failed. But she's got him off before Wolverine can even finish doubting her, falling back on her old lockpick skills from her days working with Ahmed El-Jabbar.
Okay, but is it gonna come up in a storyline? Okay.
Yes,
okay.
it will.
In another
yes, it will.
storyline.
This will come up again and again.
Okay.
Atop the castle battlements, Black Tom and the Juggernaut appear, dangling Banshee over the edge with the threat that they've got 5 minutes to come get him or he'll be sleeping with the fishes, see?
Yeah, but what happens afterwards? Mr. Cassidy, what are you going to get out of this once it's done?
Money.
Oh, right. He's going to get the inheritance. But he's going to
get paid by Eric. Without talking it out, Aurora just takes to the skies to come to Sean's defenses. Wolverine aggravatedly calls after her, calling her a dumb broad, which Colossus takes exception to, and he chucks Wolverine over the castle wall before climbing up himself.
That does not look like a fastball special.
Nah, he just kind of chucked him.
He just yeeted him.
So he just kind of climbs up, metal finger crunching into the stone.
It's a pity, though, that there's no one left to throw me.
While he's a sitting duck, Kane starts gathering up some debris from the battle to chuck down at Colossus, while Tom takes to the controls of the castle's energy blasters.
Which is a thing it has.
Yeah, it would seem to be a new feature, unless they didn't bother to look at the place on Zillow when it was right there on the listing.
You never know. You always gotta check those listings closely.
Find out if that hot tub's just there in the pictures, or if you're getting it.
Or if it's actually a missile launcher.
There's always that possibility. That's very common.
It may just be the cover for a missile launcher that only looks like a hot tub.
That'd be a big fucking hot tub.
Yes, it would.
Anyway, Storm wields the fury of the weather, whipping it up into a howling gale. But those energy blasters have still got every moment of her attention, cutting it very close. She can see the peril of Piotr's position, but while she's on defense, it's hard to do anything to help Colossus. Maybe he would have had a little more help if he hadn't chucked Logan entirely across the castle.
Oh, no!
One of the leprechauns, a little imp named Patrick, names Logan, bidding him to follow. So now he has a name, and we just know he has a name because a leprechaun showed up and said it.
What?
He didn't say his name. A leprechaun shows up, says his name, and that's how we discover Logan's name.
What? Wait. So you're telling me that the first time he gets his name
is from a leprechaun.
Is from a leprechaun who just knows his name.
Correct.
Why?
Why?
Why is this how he gets his name Logan?
That's how he gets his name. On the other side of the castle, Banshee can do naught but watch his cousin and his friend plot the deaths of the X-Men. But then behind him, his bonds are snapped as Nightcrawler emerges from the shadows. Banshee then tears off his sonic restraint. He then screams at the Juggernaut's feet, and the fat egg falls through the floor, landing down in front of the rest of the X-Men, who are now raring for a rematch.
I mean, it could go better this time. I mean, hey, Aurora is not, a mess.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Sean chases Tom around. What do you think? I think Tom's the younger one. Banshee keeps talking about how old he is, but then he's always doing that despite seeming not all that old. If I had to take a guess, I'd say maybe he's in his late 30s, maybe?
Oh, God. He just feels old.
It's hanging out with all these kids, god damn it.
Yeah. How old do you think Nightcrawler even is?
Early 20s, if I had to guess.
Because after the fight, he gives me an even younger vibe than that. I don't even think he's much older than the original X-Men were, however old they were.
I feel like he's in his early 20s or his late teens. I don't know, that's the vibe I get off him.
You late teens.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I get the feeling he was in the circus young.
Yeah. Well, Tom grabs an axe from a wall mount.
Which is where we are now.
Yep, and he attempts to ambush his cousin as he enters through the door, but it doesn't work.
Well, because was just seen going through the door. He
probably saw him duck to the side,
well,
frankly.
Look, he's right there. He's going in the door, and yes, it's gonna be such a surprise that the guy who just went in the door is going to try to attack you from the other side
of the door, yeah.
Shocking.
Well, Sean dives clear of the attack and grabs a sword of his own from the wall, and then the two fights become one once more. Banshee's caught off guard, and with a mighty cleave of the axe, Black Tom shatters the blade. Sean's back is to the wall of the battlements, and Tom closes in to finish him off, raising the axe high overhead. No second chances. Coiled muscles spring into action, kicking Tom up and over. He plummets to the rocks of the sea below, without even a cry after himself. Kane follows fast behind his one and only friend, diving into the waves to try and save him.
Why? Why does he do that?
I must return to the ocean.
And he actually looks distraught.
He's his only friend.
It is!
Kane's a fucking asshole.
I actually believe you about this. He really does look like he just lost a friend. Oh my god.
Well, he dives into the waves to try and save Tom, but when the storm clears, there's no sign of either of them. And we close off on this issue with Eric the Red hosting his weekly evil Zoom call, with some dude demanding he prevent Princess Naramani from reaching the X-Men, and also Magneto is here.
Yeah, Magneto is there. And next issue, the gentleman's name is Magneto.
Enough said. Lastly, we finish off with the B story from Classic X-Men 11, written by Chris Claremont, penciled and inked by John Bolton, colors by Glynis Wein, and letters by Tom Orzechowski. Brief content warning on this one for suicidal ideation.
Oh boy.
Writer's block. The bane of anyone who's ever tried to put their world to word. It's worse when that's your job, though. That's where Phil Halloran finds himself tonight. The words won't come, his editor won't stop calling, but nothing will make the words come.
That's a really new-looking phone.
Yeah, I guess, kind of.
Yeah, that's a post-Ma Bell phone, that's for sure.
Yep. After making a mess of his apartment, Phil puts on a jacket and heads out into the night. Life has become a slog. Work has stolen capitalism has stolen all of the joy from his art.
Mood!
The words won't come, and it all seems hopeless. Looking up, he sees the GPO tower rising high above him in the streets of London. It's one of the things that actually drew him to writing in the first place. The childhood joy of reading the adventures of a beloved character who happened to hang around the tower. It's been long closed to the public, but when Phil chances to try the door, it isn't locked. And thinking of those early days writing, he enters. Given that love of the place, it's probably not a big surprise that his parents promised to take him there for his birthday. But then the tower was closed and those promises never came to be. Now that he's here, it doesn't seem particularly exciting. Climbing one last set of maintenance stairs, Phil emerges onto the roof, which is a much better view than down below in the once restaurant.
Oh, I'm sure, but...
The windows are probably dirty as shit, right?
Yeah.
But rather than out, he finds himself looking down. An end to all his problems. Suddenly he's startled out of his daze by a voice warning him away from the edge. When he turns, he sees Storm. When she learns his name, Aurora recognizes his work. She's a fan. But he's not really in the mood. Aurora then confesses her concern for Phil when she'd seen him up here standing on the edge. She tries to reach out with her own experiences with death, urging him to fight. Life's too short, why make it shorter? He then continues to fixate on his writer's block, weary of it all. Trying to get him down off the ledge, Storm then decides to show him the joy of flight. She sweeps him up into the skies, promising not to drop him.
Well, hey, if she does drop him, well, problem has been solved, but...
He is actually enjoying it, though. He does find a moment of joy, of lightheartedness that's come to feel so uncommon. She likens her ability to do this to his ability to bring the world to life through his writing. As they touch back down on the roof, Phil explains the pain of his writer's block. When she bids him to consider doing something else then, he pushes back against that. Writing is what he is. He can't just lose his reason to be. When Storm doesn't answer, he turns back towards her, seeing her unconscious on the ground, a man dressed as a guard standing over her, baton in hand. He bids Phil to jump, just like he wanted to, as he drags Storm back down the stairs.
Oh god, this is the guy from the signs earlier.
Yep, from the newspaper boxes. Yep, there's been a serial killer hunting the London streets, killing innocent women. And now Phil has come face to face with him. He's afraid. He'll hurt her. And if Phil tries to intervene, he'll hurt him. And if Phil succeeds, well then Storm will stop him from ending it here tonight. When Phil walks in, the killer stands over Storm as she groans on the floor. He's not going to stand for this. Halloran comes to blows with the killer, but he's no fighter. And it turns out fighting hurts.
Yeah, fighting actually hurts.
Aurora, though, finally finishes her rise to consciousness. Through blurry vision, she jolts the killer with a bolt of lightning before throwing him across the room with a gust of wind as a cherry on top.
Ooh.
Phil rushes to her side. He's going to call the authorities and it'll all be over soon. Aurora, though, is still worried about him in the aftermath, bidding him to live. At the end of our story, Phil is still unsure. So that's that.
Wow. That... Holy shit. That last one was just...
depressing, really.
And brutal, and it just sort of ends with...
No, I didn't particularly enjoy that one, honestly. It's not the strongest of these B stories. It's probably the weakest of these B stories.
You say that, but... Oh god,
I feel that pain, and he does a very good job communicating it, but the serial killer thing just kind of really is not a well-introduced thread.
I mean...
There were hints to it, but it is very, what? Where did this come from?
Yeah, no, but I mean the vague ending with no...
The vague ending is good.
With no actual...
resolution.
Yeah, resolutions to say what the right move is.
There are elements of this story that I like a lot. I just don't think the whole thing comes together well.
Okay, it has some issues, but maybe I'm not as interested in Sabretooth.
Oh, you weren't interested in Sabretooth.
No, I know what he
You know, this is kind of spooky, too. We got a serial killer.
We do.
It's kind of ooky spooky.
Yeah, kind of a Jack the Ripper-esque serial killer, too.
Yeah, it's kind of what we got going on here.
These are something. Like, wow.
Alright, so what did we think? How do we want to rate the Black Tom arc?
Well...
It's not great.
It's not great. It's got some good moments that mostly don't have to do with the Black
the
Tom
thing with
arc.
Aurora is cool, but disjointed. Does not feel like it belongs really fully in the story. At least not the way it was executed.
What? This story? A little... this...
No.
Oh, you mean Aurora?
Her backstory, yeah.
Ah, yes. That comes out of nowhere and...
Storm spends the whole first episode crying.
And then we find out, apparently, her family lived in Harlem, moved to Cairo?
Yep.
And her parents got killed. She ends up...
Oliver Twist.
Oliver twisting her way to Kenya, where her powers manifest, and she becomes worshipped as a goddess.
Correct.
That's not what I was expecting for,
It's not what I was expecting in the middle of this story about leprechauns, for sure.
Leprechauns who name Wolverine!
Right, what was that shit? It wasn't a bad comic. Chris Claremont's storytelling chops are good enough to make up for where the actual story seems to be kind of lacking.
Yeah, this feels... You know what? I think the disjointedness is that, like, we see these little B stories. These feel a lot more like the writer wanted to write these than the current main plot of the contemporary comic.
It doesn't feel like it's necessarily what he wanted to be doing,
like,
right?
Black Tom... Like, he didn't want to...
I mean, he set up for a lot of this stuff, so it's hard for me to say that, but I don't
think the X-Men on Vacation was something anyone actually cared about.
Like, why the fucking leprechauns? Like... Did we really? I mean...
Leprechauns that Black Tom Cassidy has imprisoned and forced into his service.
Leprechaun
what
hostages.
The fuck? He has hostages. He will kill them if they don't serve him.
We have this one Irish guy. Do we have to jam every fucking stereotype for this motherfucker into the goddamn book?
Apparently, yes.
Well, anyway, it wasn't Chris's storytelling chops are good enough that I'm gonna give it a 3, but the story is lacking.
It's a 2. It's a 2 story.
Right. So you didn't... How about our ooky spooky Halloween picks? How did you like Sabretooth?
I mean, Sabretooth's hands were really small.
Gonna have to mark it down a star for that. Hand's too small.
It's too small. But, I mean, how does Logan live that way?
Gotta be pretty stressful, right? That's why I like the little view into his insight,
I mean,
what it's
that-
like, how
that
he
was-
scans the room.
Sounds like he needs therapy.
Oh, deeply.
He is
deeply
deeply
needs therapy.
traumatized. That man needs therapy
Can confirm.
and a big bag of weed.
Okay, so what do you want to rate it?
4?
Sure, let's go with that. I like 4. I'm good with 4. I'm feeling 4.
And I mean, I know you might not have liked this other one, but I actually really liked it.
This one?
Yeah, this suicidal writer.
2.5 for me. It doesn't, I mean, like, there are genuine emotional threads that do sting when they're plucked in this, but it felt really disjointed.
I don't know, he needed something, and he got handed a lot in his wait, we're not done? We're not
No.
done with Black Tom Cassidy?
We are. This is just the original cover.
Oh, thank God. For a moment, you scared me there for a moment.
Woo!
Black Tom Cassidy returns.
He climbs his way soggy off the rocks.
But honestly, I'm giving it a 5. I felt him. And his need to do things and call to action, call to adventure even. He could have just left her. He could have left Storm.
It didn't work for me, but hey, to each their own.
Wow.
That's going to be it for us this week. We want to, again, remind you, vote, 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 vote. If you're not registered to vote, register to vote. If you are registered to vote, get your ass to the fucking polls. Pokemon, get to the polls. Pokemon, go to the polls. That's it. Pokemon, go to the polls.
If you can't register to vote this close to an election, I know some states make it hard.
There are also some states where you can go to your polling place and
literally
make an affidavit.
You can also, some states literally will allow you to register to vote at the polling place.
Correct.
Check your state laws. There's ways to do that. I don't know off the top of my head.
If you want information on your candidates, check Ballotpedia. But again, I encourage you at least vote blue. It's the only fucking hope we got right now. The Democrats are, again, fucking cocks, but...
Well, I would rather the party of no ideas than the party of bad ideas.
I'll vote for the party of cucks for the party of fascists.
We know what the party of bad ideas think is a good idea right now. I don't like where this country is going.
No, but that's where we can try and take control of the wheels as much as we fucking can. Vote. Vote, vote, vote. Anyway, on through our shit. We're not going to give you like a whole 5-minute spiel this time.
Let's give a 5-minute spiel.
Let's not give a 5-minute spiel because I don't have one written.
Dang it.
Anyway, shoot us an email over at comicsplaining@gmail.com. You can hit us up over on our social media. We are Comicsplaining on Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Join us over on Discord, where you can tell us what kind of Russian swear words Piotr is using.
I want to know if he used. There's a whole. I don't know how to express. It's kind of the language of fuck, but it's like, imagine if fuck was a language.
See, now you just got me wanting to learn Russian.
Russian has some fascinating
not to mention
differences.
the fact that if I learned how to speak Russian, I would just sound immediately much more badass.
God. I don't know enough about Russian to be able to express what I'm trying to say, but there's this language.
There are many ways to swear.
They have turned that into an entire language. It is illegal in certain media to use that language. It is yes. It is inappropriate to hear that kind of language. It is inappropriate to use that kind of language. I want to know if our good boy Colossus used a really bad word.
Yeah, so join us over on Discord and tell us all you readers. Rate and review us on your podcatcher of choice. If you want to see a video version of the show where you will be able to see said swears from our good boy PD, hit us up over on YouTube. We put out a video version of the podcast every week where you can see such things. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell button because we put it out every week just the same as this one. That said, we're going to be back at you next week with Thor, and we look forward to talking to you then. Bye!
Bye!